So I want to talk about this real briefly for my invest. This is something I do, uh, and I have several things I do over the course of the year that keeps doing this. We play what I call a blind Kahoot, which is usually when I'm going to introduce new words. I try to keep it at 10, a Kahoot with 10 new words, but sometimes we do 20, but it depends on how easy the words are to remember, how common the objects, etc. And the first time that we do it, I don't say anything. We just play it. And of course, I always have some kids that are totally focused because they're getting the answers, right? I'm actually giving them the answers on this Kahoot. So they have the answers. This was the introduction of the verb avoir, to have, okay? And what I do while we did the first Kahoot is I observe, and as best as possible, it's difficult in a very short Kahoot. I observe the kids with notable focus and on-task behavior, and I observe the kids who are basically, Kahoot is the secondary activity. They're going between different tabs. They're talking to each other. And so in a way, they're not really paying attention to the answers that are right. Then I give them something else to do for maybe 20, 25 minutes. I wanted to try to make it 15, but I can't really look at the data meaningfully. But I think it's important to bring it up at that exact time instead of the class after. So I go and give them something to do. I pull the data, and what I do is I look at the first, the task, the behavior I saw during the first game, but the scores I saw from the second Kahoot. Because basically we play two Kahoots. The second one, right before the second one, I tell them they will have a reward, some kind of reward. It's a bribery, but we have to get through the Kahoot without talking. We have to get through the Kahoot without me seeing any other off-task, any off-task behavior. So everyone has to focus, and I'm immediately going to give them a little free time afterwards. Now, I know we're not supposed to do that, but it's a bribe. It gets them to completely focus on that one Kahoot. Because I need a certain set of data, I got to get it. So then during that period, and I've noted the kids that were most off task and the kids that were most focused. I do take out the names, but I bring up the data. So I'm over working on this while they're doing Duolingo or something else on their own. And I'm noticing okay, so the stars are off task behavior for the first game. All the behaviors here, this is a code. All of the behaviors here are coded. If they had a lot of pound signs, that means they were focused. If they had a lot of star signs, that means I noticeably observed a lot of off-task behavior during the first Kahoot when they had the answers. And I show them the data, and inevitably, and I explain to them I can't get it for everybody. I can't see everybody. These are the people that I noted. And I show them the correlation between the data for those who focused the first game and the outcomes for the second game when we didn't have the answer. By just focusing on the very first one, all the scores come out significantly higher. I've done this a few times. The results are consistent. And I show them this. There's also something else I do that I'm going to talk about in my invest called a cost. I call it a cost factor. Each student has a number that is called cost factor. I will go over that in a separate invest.